Hello, and welcome to Rabbit Troop Sucks. Tonight, as Rabbit Troop Sucks, we'll be taking you on a magical experience for one night only. Tonight, we'll be reviewing and contemplating An Evening with Beverly Luff Lin from 2018.
Yes. So, as always, we are your hosts. I am Mike.
And I'm Paul.
And he's right. We're going to take you on for one night only, one magical night with Beverly Luff Lin. This is a movie that you actually brought to my attention. We had seen a movie by this director called The Greasy Strangler. Mm-hmm. The movie was called The Greasy Strangler.
And I'm willing to review that in a future episode.
I don't know that I can.
I think you might just need to watch it one more time.
That movie's, it's pretty gross.
Yeah, actually, I'm really glad you're using that adjective. This is kind of the director's shtick. I don't even know if I want to say that. Just, this is almost part of his attitude that his movies are kind of gross and dingy. And every time I see a scene, I think I want to wash my hands. And
this movie, I don't think this movie is really gross.
There's just scenes in this one.
There are scenes in this one, but you're right. It's
that's
very,
his aesthetic.
Yeah,
a little gross.
There's an interesting aesthetic. It's the time frame. I mean, I think we assume it's like in modern times, but
I think so.
The time frame is kind of nondescript. Like you don't really see any technology. No one really uses like a smartphone or has like an LED TV.
Yeah, let me read the summary too, and we'll kind of start, delving into the setting and kind of what might be happening. So, Lulu Danger's unsatisfying marriage takes a turn for the worse when a mysterious man from her past comes to town to perform an event called An Evening with Beverly Luff Lin for one magical night only. And yeah, Mike brings us directly into the setting, and maybe the time frame of. It seems very Napoleon Dynamite in some ways.
It's very Napoleon Dynamite, and that's actually a good call out because, yeah, like even the filming style, it kind of has like a dusky yellow tinge to everything. Everyone's wearing kind of like
if you found a kind of cool jacket at a thrift store, and I'm not knocking that, but what if like 7 people had cool jackets from thrift stores? One of the characters, Emile Hirsch, is dressed in suits, and I noted he looked like David Byrne from the Talking Heads, like a little kid in a big suit.
Yeah, all the fashion is very eclectic in this movie. There's no, I think it's very like 80s to early 90s themed. Everyone kind of looks like a B-side, like background character from the Goldbergs.
Yeah, kind of.
Just like everything, like a lot of big shoulders. Not very contemporary, but also I feel like these would have been the fashions that were not popular in the time that they were released. I don't know. I don't know if I'm explaining that well, but it's a very kind of weird throwback, dingy aesthetic.
And highlighting some of our characters, we have Aubrey Plaza playing Lulu Danger, mm-hmm. and we have Emile Hirsch playing her husband Shane Danger.
Yeah,
I just like their names, Danger.
The names are great.
Mike and I were talking about this earlier. One, I know we both absolutely love Aubrey Plaza. I love Aubrey Plaza in Parks and Rec and tons of other films that I've definitely seen her in. The To-Do List, I'd gladly critique that. I feel that movie just came and went. I love that as a summer movie, but I love her in this. But we talked about Emile Hirsch specifically, and for me, I feel Emile Hirsch is kind of an underrated actor. I have actually liked him in everything I've seen him in. Even if I didn't like the film per se, I've always liked him. I mean, I honestly have to assume the first thing I ever saw him in, unless he was much younger, was The Girl Next Door. Mike and I...
That movie's terrific.
Almost as a challenge to, as Mike noted, our sister podcast...
They don't know that there are sister podcasts. We haven't told them yet.
But it was mentioned, so now they just know. And they reviewed Speed Racer with very unfavorable reviews.
They did not like Speed Racer. I love the movie Speed Racer.
I do as well, and I kind of want to review it just to reclaim it for our own. Mike and I have for years talked about how much we liked it, but Mike does not like Emile Hirsch's Into the Wild. And I even said, I was like, if you don't like the movie, I understand, but I did not think he did a poor job or a poor performance. I actually really liked him in the movie.
I just think that movie sucks. I think it's about a stupid story about a stupid person that no one should be talking about.
But did Emile Hirsch help you understand that?
He was fine. He's fine in everything. But like that, I can't with that movie. I just can't even.
For this movie, I actually wrote a little list of characters, and one of the characters is Tyrone, and it's played by Zach Cherry. And I just thought it was backwards for a moment. I was like, wait, is Zach Cherry his character? Because that's a sweet name. But no, that's his real sweet name.
Did you write down Tyrone's last name?
What is it?
I don't remember, but I looked it up and I remember enjoying it.
Oh, it's Tyrone Paris.
Tyrone Paris, that's right. Zach Cherry. He's also in the modern television show Severance on Apple TV Plus, where he plays effectively the same character as in this, but he's great in that.
I love this. I love this actor in this film. People should watch it.
Agreed. So yeah, just right off the bat, I want to get a couple things clear about this movie. I really like this movie. Paul brought it to my attention after we watched The Greasy Strangler.
Which I don't think we made the association of the director at the time.
No, honestly, I don't know that we did.
As Mike is kind of poo-pooing on The Greasy Strangler.
No, that movie's, I enjoyed that movie. I just don't know that I can talk about it in like a humorous, if that's what this is, way.
That's...
Yeah,
it was an experience. That was the
greasy.
magical night.
It is greasy. This movie is less greasy. But yeah, I think this movie is actually really fun. Taking notes for this movie was hard. 'Cause, I mean, as you know, all of you tens of listeners or single of listeners, the listener, we just kind of almost scene by scene kind of break down these movies. And when I'm taking notes, I try to focus on like either things that are funny or things that are kind of stand out as weird or humorous. In this movie, literally everything that happens is bonkers. Like there is no filler. Even the filler is like just weird. So I think talking through this is going to be a little bit different because just like I said, everything that happens is kind of noteworthy because this movie kind of exists in like a weird uncanny valley of filmmaking where it looks like a real movie so much that it doesn't anymore.
Yeah, and there's a lot of quick cuts. I started noting, I often note when scenes change. And for this movie, it was like hotel room, other hotel room, lobby, hotel room. And it's very quick, just a couple lines, then a cut. I mean, we'll get to that. But
yeah, we've kind of touched on that before. And I think the quick cut thing is definitely really prevalent in like kind of the shitty 80s movies that we talk about.
Yeah, and this movie is definitely an homage to that. I mean, it's 100%. Absolutely clear.
But I think you don't really see those quick cuts in like what you would consider to maybe be a good modern movie.
Right.
There's a lot of back and forth, but that's fine. We'll work through it. But let's just jump in. Let's start talking about this.
Sure. We start at Bob's, which seems to be some kind of coffee house. Maybe they serve a couple kind of pastries.
Yeah, the restaurant confused me because a lot of scenes take place here. It's called Bob's. The sign has like a wiener dog on it. And every once in a while you see people in the restaurant. They don't look like they're eating anything. And there's only ever 3 people working in the restaurant. And they're all wearing suits. There's like a grill, like in a diner, a cooktop, but it looks unused. It doesn't look like they prepared any food. It looks like they just make coffee.
Yeah, and Emile Hirsch's character Shane is definitely very happy about a specialty coffee that he makes later that he doesn't make at the restaurant. Also, as I noted, the director's aesthetics, a lot of the drinks, I noticed this all throughout this movie, just are gross. When food is eaten, it's gross. It's not like messy cute. It's just kind of gross. And these drinks just for me look gross.
Yeah, we can talk about those drinks more as people have them.
Yeah, and they do throughout the film.
Yeah.
And I do like this film. I will highlight all throughout this film. I do like it, but there is definitely a gross element. It's just really weird. I also noted the author's next project is called Gleek, and that's kind of where you like roll your tongue and spit comes out into a fountain little stream.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I'm just like that just highlights the the director's attitude. It's just kind of gross. But the humor is funny throughout. It's not always gross humor. It's just some of the props or things that are happening around people or the settings are often just kind of gross.
Yeah. So yeah, we're in the restaurant. There's now 4 people there. There's Shane Danger, there's Tyrone, a guy whose name I don't remember, and Lulu. And the weird guy whose name I don't remember turns to Lulu, Aubrey Plaza, and says, "Hey, check this out." And he starts doing this weird like bird flap wing dance. And she says, "Are you breakdancing?" And he goes, "Yeah."
These two also seem to have a little bit of a rapport. There's some back and forth kind of in these opening sequences where it's like this is the guy I like to work with. We just crack jokes. I kind
Right.
of like it.
Yeah,
Just
everyone
on
kind of has a
Sunday.
loose and easy vibe here. So Shane Danger kind of gives Tyrone shit about the winter blend coffee for some reason.
He's putting it out because it's not winter.
It's not winter, but that's the coffee that they have. But then a guy from corporate, Bob's corporate, comes in and he pulls Shane into the office and says, "Hey, look, you got to fire somebody." And Shane kind of goes, "Ugh." And then quick cut, we're at home. And we actually don't know that Shane and Lulu are married at this point.
Yeah, I
but
was
they
kind of
are.
under the impression that they're just employees, or maybe
Right.
there's some kind of flirtation.
But now we're at Shane and Lulu's house, and they're eating spaghetti and meatball. Well, spaghetti and meatball.
yeah, the
it's
meatballs is the size of the Hulk's fist.
It's the biggest meatball you've ever seen in your life.
I'm glad we're making similar notes on meatballs.
Yeah. And this is where we find out that they're married, and that he chose to fire Lulu. That was the one firing that he decided to do. And she says she's okay with it. She is chain smoking as she does throughout the entirety of this movie. And he says, it's better that it was you, because if it was me, we wouldn't have any money.
Yeah, he's really working to try to defend this.
Yeah.
And then she's passively talking to him, and okay, like, I guess I understand. And all of a sudden she says something along the lines like, "Make it up to me. I want a TV. I want a brand new TV." And he says, like, "Oh, we don't have this kind of money," and it's something. And she mentions her brother Adjay. And
we meet Adjay in a little bit,
right, and I think Emile Hirsch references him as Adjay, but I think it's Adjay all throughout. And Aubrey Plaza notes, well, my brother has a sweet cash box, which is super weird.
They say cash box in this movie constantly.
Yeah, cash box. And then how did he get this cash box? Emile Hirsch inquires.
Right.
And he then definitely devises a plan that he hears about this cash box from her brother. He's super jealous. And then we pretty much, before we have a cutscene right to just immediately the next day, they're going to burglar this guy. Aubrey Plaza does see on the TV, Emile Hirsch walks off and she does see an advertisement that there's going to be this evening with Beverly Luff Lin, and she's kind of mystified by it, like she knows something about this and this person.
Yeah.
But we don't know all too
Right.
much.
No, there's familiarity. Yeah, never mind.
And I think there's
eyes,
and I think there's a scene there's a picture of her and him. And
yeah, the next
one of her
scene,
drawers.
it's like she's looking through her drawer and there's a picture. My one thing when they're talking about the cash box, Emile Hirsch, Shane says, "No way that fucking vegan has more cash in his cash box than I do."
Yeah,
and Aubrey Plaza turns to him and says, "No, he does."
Yeah, they mentioned that his brother only cares about vegan things. That's almost a direct
Right.
quote.
He owns like a vegan health food store.
right, which is really scant in how many products they have. Is like maybe 50 products on a rack, which we get immediately too. That the next day, boom, Emile Hirsch rolls up with the employee that we can't remember, and Cherry or Tyrone roll up, and they're all wearing wigs. I love this. And
Yeah,
especially-
wigs and sunglasses.
especially Emile Hirsch. Emile Hirsch has this weird blonde wig on. I don't know why. I mean, it's clearly made for a 10-year-old. I don't know why he's wearing this.
Yeah, no one does. So the story is called Adjay's Amazing Naturals, and it looks like a gas station.
Yeah. So wait, this is my favorite plan. So I don't know if this is devised in front of me or in the car, but they immediately run in. So it's Tyrone and it's Emile Hirsch's character Shane, and immediately Emile Hirsch wants to stay behind. So they come up with this plan where Tyrone has to ask for the specific product, grains of paradise. He's like, "I need your grains of paradise." "Oh, of course. Please show me your grains of paradise." And it goes, they find it in some, off aisle.
Right, it's in the back. There's like a bunch of different. There's like off-brand and like
and
Adjay's brand.
And it looks like someone made this in their house. It was a plastic wrap with some herbs and maybe some printout that they stapled to it.
All of the products in the store have labels with. Adjay is like an Indian gentleman, and all of the products have labels with him wearing a turban on it.
It's super bizarre.
Also, it is. I guess this is Aubrey Plaza's brother in the movie, and it is not brought up if one of them is adopted. They are just brother and sister. Adjay is a 60-year-old Indian gentleman, and Aubrey Plaza is like a 30-year-old woman.
Right. So while they're looking for the grains of paradise, there's demands of, or Adjay is, asking, "Where's your friend?" And Emile Hirsch is immediately going through the cash box, can't really grab it, then grabs it, and then basically pulls a gun on him.
The cash box is covered in fur for some reason.
Yeah, it's also a cash box, so apparently this guy's just got lots of money in it, and
his life savings is in a small Muppet themed box that he keeps in his store.
Yeah, imagine a cash box of two children selling lemonade on a corner, because that's the cash box that was maybe screwed into a piece of wood that was holding your life savings. Definitely better than a bank.
So Adjay he figures out what's going on. He flips out. He screams like a bird, which he will do multiple times through the and Shane and the rest of the gang just book it.
I think then maybe some other stuff happens, but basically we cut to a laundromat.
Yeah, Adjay is now topless in this laundromat,
doing laundry and talking to some random friend that I don't think we ever see again.
No.
Explaining the situation. My brother-in-law robbed me. I know who he is. All the wig didn't fool anyone.
Right.
And then now we get Jermaine from Flight of the Conchords just magically doing laundry in this laundromat. Like, hey, buddy, so you got a problem? Don't send your friend. I'll handle this. He's like, I'm rolling and bebopping through town, and I could use some money, and I'm a professional, and these are things I do.
He's selling himself as like some kind of professional, problem solver. And so Adjay says, I'm gonna tell my cousin Puney to fix this. And Jermaine says, what's Jermaine's name in this movie?
I'll have to look it
up.
Yeah,
welcome to Rabbit True
Colin.
Flex, the movie where Mike never remembers anyone's name.
Colin. It's Colin.
It's Colin. Okay. So Colin says, forget cousin Puney.
Forget cousin Puney.
I got this.
Yeah, and so the whole thing is, you've got to get all this money. He's like, all right, I'm in, but you're going to give me $200.
Yeah, he wants to. That's his fee.
So
he rolls
Deal set.
He rolls up to Shane and Lulu's house.
Wait, forget cousin Puney. He did it.
He forgot all about cousin Puney. Colin rolls up to Shane and Lulu's house, and he can see in the window Shane and Tyrone and the other guy are like having a weird dance party. Other guy is doing his weird break dance.
I also wrote weird dance party.
Yeah, so we don't even need two sets of notes. We have the same thing.
I wrote, I'm sorry, spaz dance party.
Spaz dance party, yeah.
So three adult gentlemen in suits just having what was probably a drunken spaz party.
So he's looking through the window and he's kind of psyching himself up to go inside, and he's about to knock on the door, ring the doorbell. But Lulu has just been outside watching this happen the whole time, smoking. And she says, "Are you the party man? Party man?"
Yeah, so imagine you're just outside doing whatever. You're checking your mail, you're Aubrey Plaza smoking a cigarette, you're having a drink, you're doing God knows what. Some gentleman rolls up in front of you, and you're not alarmed. You're just so phased in your own life now that you look at this person and say, "What's going on, party man?" And not only that, Emile Hirsch opens the door and is like, "Who the hell's this guy?" And she's like, "Aren't you going to invite in the party man?" And he's so baffled, he says, "Sure." And then a couple minutes into it, Emile Hirsch makes this super gross drink. It's his specialty cappuccinos with 5-inch Tootsie Roll logs.
No, the Tootsie Roll logs come later. He's making it looks like
malt balls.
It looks like Yoo-hoo with malt balls in it.
Oh God! And so they're all awkwardly drinking just milk on a couch, which barf right there. But with that, they're like, "Oh yeah, like how do you guys know each other?" And soon it quickly comes out no one knows this guy. I do love Emile Hirsch's reactions to this, like, "Who the F are you?" And he's like, "Ah," and they're like, whoa, no, like, seriously, who the F are you? So imagine, like, you're just in a small gathering having a couple of drinks. Aubrey Plaza is being kind of weird about it. We find out later why. But also, you just realize for the last 15 minutes, there's a total stranger. And this could easily turn into a horror movie quick. It doesn't, but Jermaine does pull a gun, takes the cash box, and Aubrey Plaza immediately says, "I'm coming with you. Basically, this is how it's going to work." And somehow Colin is smitten over this and is like, "Get in the car."
Well, so yeah, it's a little bit more ambitious than that. He pulls a gun and says, "Give me the cash box. I know it's behind the sofa." They do that, and then while that's happening, Aubrey Plaza steals the gun from Jermaine and kind of holds all of them hostage and makes Jermaine, who now has the cash box, leave with her. And they drive off in his car and check into a hotel.
And then we have the cut where It's a failed team up where Adjay and Colin are now talking to each other. No, not Colin. Adjay and Shane, Emile Hirsch's character, are talking to one another. So the sequence of events again is Emile Hirsch stole money from Adjay, and now Colin and Shane's wife stole that money and left. So now no one has that money that originally wanted it. And Adjay wants his money back, and Emile Hirsch is like, hey, buddy, we need to make a deal. I don't have the money either. And Adjay is firm throughout this film. I don't care. I'm going to come to your place every day. I'm going to make fun of you. I'm going to treat you like garbage. It is your job to get my money back. It's not mine. We're not partners, and we're not in this together. There are several scenes where this is highlighted, and Emile Hirsch is kind of like, hey, buddy. And Ajay is like, absolutely not. And says very kind of dark things to him.
Yeah, Emile Hirsch says, she's your sister. You've got to track her down. And Ajay's response is, track her down? I'm a fucking vegan.
Yeah, so powerless. The veganism made him powerless.
Powerless, yeah. So we have a...
I also drew a side picture of Jermaine's character, and I'm going to show it to Mike right now. I think it's a pretty accurate...
No, that's what he looks like.
Accurate representation.
We didn't even need artwork for this. You could have just used that.
We also have a sketch of Jermaine.
Yeah, perfect. So they check into this weird hotel. The concierge is kind of bonkers. Aubrey Plaza specifies that they need a room with 2 twins beds, and they have a discussion on how to say.
There's a lot of plurals going on in this.
Is it 2 twins bed, 2 twin bed? Yeah, they can't get it right.
Mans is brought up. When they reference the money from the cash box, it's always monies.
Yeah, and that's why, as I mentioned earlier, there's just no good way to talk about this movie that really conveys how weird everything is, because everything is weird. But that's neither here nor there.
Also, we are introduced to another character when everyone's checking into the hotel. It's Lawrence. And I don't know if it's ever established the full name, but
is Lawrence
Doggy?
Lawrence Doggy, the concierge?
Yeah, and that's Jacob Wysocki, if I'm pronouncing that correct.
He looks familiar, but I don't know who this is.
I saw him in a movie called Terry. I really liked it as an independent film. I also saw that he was in Pitch Perfect. I've seen this guy in a ton of films. I think this dude is hilarious. He is absolutely one of my favorite characters. So we were looking at a movie that has Jermaine from Flight of the Conchords. Absolutely love him. This movie has Matt Berry, who I absolutely adore. Yeah. And out of all of these people, I do think the concierge, Jacob Wysocki, is one of my favorite characters. So that's a lot to say with some of these awesome cast members.
That's true. Yeah, he's every time he's on screen, it's great.
Yeah.
But so they're checked in, and I think at this point they're my notes are this should be my catchphrase. My notes are a little disjointed at this point. I think right now is where they're in they go to the bar and they're kind of talking.
Do we introduce that Matt Berry and Craig Robinson are driving around? They too have now checked into the hotel.
Yeah, Matt Berry and what's his name?
Craig Robinson.
And Craig Robinson,
who is Beverly
Luff Lin. So Matt Berry and Beverly Luff Lin also check into the hotel. They're driving a Toyota Tercel, like from Breaking Bad, with a custom license plate that says Luffers.
I noted that. Yeah. Like, Luffers pulls up. I just wrote that.
And Craig Robinson does not utter a word in this movie. He just he will, but not.
Spoiler ahead.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
But yeah, we only hear him.
He just
like
goes,
Frankenstein's monster. Like, that's all we hear.
Yeah,
variations of ers.
Right. So they check into the hotel, and it's represented that they're there for. They're the live event. They're going to be
this magical night that people are going to line up for. Mm-hmm. Everyone's going to be having a great time.
Right.
But then we get a couple quick cuts again. I have, as my notes go, because I often note when they change scenes, we quickly have Adjay again, and he's coming in and he's calling Colin a fat loser, and he gets really angry. And then I think we have another quick cut of Colin and Beverly going out to eat. This is where I notice, again, that they're eating this food, and it's full of this weird melted cheese. It doesn't look appetizing. Imagine if you just took a bag of shredded Velveeta or Kraft and threw it into a plate, it was one kind of gooey creation, and he just picks it up and starts like rubbing it across his face and his beard. I can't remember actually what it was even covering. It was just chips.
It was onion rings. It was cheese covered onion rings. I think. Yeah.
He's like, yeah, spot on. These are great. He's just rubbing it on his face. It's so gross.
Yeah.
But poor Jermaine.
Oh, poor Jermaine indeed. And Jermaine is. I can't read my own handwriting here, but he's talking about how someone choked on too much breast milk. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, that's what happened to him. That he heard something, or like some guy, or was it him? Was it Colin? Was he referencing Luff Lin?
I have no idea.
It was something happened where a friend, got messed up because he was drinking too much breast milk. I don't remember the backstory.
Yeah. Okay, well,
a lot of weird non sequiturs and backstories, and
yeah. You'll have to watch it and find out. But at this point, Jermaine does have the quote that I think summarizes my feeling of this movie, which is, I don't really know what's going on, but I'm having a great time. he says this to Aubrey Plaza as they're eating dinner.
I also try to phonetically spell that Matt Berry's character's name is, I can't, do you remember his first name?
No.
But his last name is Von Donkensteiger.
Yeah.
Good old Von Donkensteiger.
It's like Clarence or something?
I don't know. Look it up.
Okay. So Rodney. So Rodney and Bev, they check into the hotel. They're in the Loch Lomond suite.
Yeah.
And they're kind of clowning on the concierge. What was his name? Steve Doggy.
Lawrence
Doggy. and Matt Berry comments that he looks more like a dog than a dog does, which I thought was good. And now we have another quick cut.
Pool. Yeah.
So Jermaine and Aubrey are in the pool.
Everything from the movie, I think, is pretty hotel centric going forward.
Yeah, we're pretty much only in the hotel.
Yeah, we basically have a lobby, a bar, the pool, and each set of hotel rooms.
Yeah.
And one is Matt Berry and Craig Robinson, and one is Aubrey Plaza and Jermaine.
Yeah. So they're in this pool just kind of chilling out. And in comes Beverly, and I think Matt Berry is with him. He's just grunting, and it's very clear that like there's a relationship between Beverly Luff Lin and Lulu. Lulu is like fucking horned. She's like sliding around in this pool.
Yeah, it's super kind of weird. I mean, she is super aroused. Like immediately,
yeah,
she sees
like
him, she's like gyrating.
She's ready to go. Yeah.
And then we immediately go to the hotel bar.
Yeah, well, yeah, Beverly Luff Lin kind of screams and moans. Like, when I say screams and moans, I mean he goes, "Arr!" and runs off. And yeah, bam, we're in the hotel bar called the Captain's Quarters, Captain's Lounge.
And there's this really weird exchange. So one, let me highlight the drinks that they order. Okay. So Aubrey Plaza orders the drink Rumble in the Heather. And Colin, who's Jermaine, orders rum and a rumble. And then there's a little bowl of nuts, and he starts eating them, and Aubrey Plaza says, "Don't eat those nuts. You don't know what's in those nuts. There could be poo in those nuts." And they're like, "Poo nuts? I don't want these poo nuts." And Jermaine tries to be slick, or Colin tries to be slick, and hands it to the bartender and says, "Hey, give me some new nuts. You know what I'm talking about." Like he was in on the conversation, and he wants in on the, the hookup of the fresh nuts. And the bartender, comically like a cartoon, takes the bowl and just wraps it around his back and puts it in his left hand, and then presents it and says, "Here's my nuts."
Yeah, enjoy my nuts.
and problem solved.
Yeah, and so rum and a ramble, which is now what Jermaine is drinking, is what Paul mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
It's just like chocolate milk, and it has not like a small Tootsie Roll, but like when you get like the big,
like a Halloween size Tootsie
bar, big Tootsie Roll, where it's like a series of cubes, kind of sort of tangentially stuck together. That is sticking out of this glass like a garnish.
Yeah, so I think going back again to the director's, aesthetics, it's kind of this childlike perspective. And as a child, you'd probably be like, cool, chocolate milk and a candy bar. But as a grown adult, I'm like, oh my God, that's the grossest thing I can imagine. Like, you're at a bar and you order that. Like, did you have a drink before that? You're going to vomit everywhere. Right. It's just so gross to watch.
Aubrey Plaza's drink looked pretty good. The Rumble and the Heather, it was just, it looked like Sprite with like fruit in it.
Yeah.
It looked okay. I would have that. Honestly, I'd try the rum and a ramble as well.
Was it the Captain's Lounge? Is that the bar they're in?
I think the Captain's Lounge, yeah.
Yeah, so I note that on this page too. That I was like, last note, Tootsie Roll bar in there.
Right.
Yeah, it looks so gross.
And so they're kind of, this is where they're getting to know each other, because she kind of kidnapped him sort of, and he's into it because he maybe fancies her a little bit. She says, "What's the story of Colin?" He's like, "It's the long, interesting tale." That turns out to not be long.
It's just like some story where it's like, there are two Collins in the family, and his dad's name was Colin, but he had a good friend named Colin, and he used to say, my name's Colin too, as a joke, and everyone loved it. Then I was born with teeth, so he named me Colin because I looked like a puppy. Like, it's
yeah, it was a weird conversation.
Aubrey Plaza straight up just says that's the worst story I've ever heard, and is outwardly angry about it.
Yeah, she's hot and cold throughout this movie. So Beverly and Matt Berry show up, and they go off to a table, and Colin and Lulu decide to follow them, and they just sit down and say, "Do you mind if we join you?" But they've already sat down. It was just a hollow.
Yeah, so I really want to note now too. I kind of alluded to this more and more. These quick cuts. Now we're really into the hotel. Now everyone has pretty much arrived. Emile Hirsch and his gang from that area, they'll come back and forth, but everything is going to be about the hotel, because I'm really noticing, even going through my notes again, that it's almost set up like a play. I could imagine seeing the screenplay of this, like scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, in all the settings, because it's going to go one room to another room to back to Bob's, the restaurant where Emile Hirsch works at, back to Emile Hirsch's house, and so on.
Yeah, it's like community theater where they only have 3 sets and they just alternate between the 3 of them.
But admittedly, they do it well. I mean, I definitely want to hand it to the director that, it's not limiting in any capacity to the enjoyment of the film. They're probably working on a budget. They had notable people working. There's so many notable people in this film, even for the time, I would have to assume.
Yeah, no, when did this movie come out? 2017?
18?
Yeah, so all of these people are like famous in their own right at that point. Like Aubrey Plaza is kind of a big deal. Matt Berry, if you enjoy anything British, is the best.
I would say Jermaine would almost be internationally famous.
Yeah, Jermaine internationally famous because he's from New Zealand.
Flight of the Conchords. They
yeah,
tour.
Right. Just a lot of Maria Bamford is in this movie. She makes an appearance later. There's a lot of kind of like bigger name or even medium name comedians. But yeah, they do it well.
And just to summarize, skipping around now, see the movie to go totally scene by scene, but they're back at Emile Hirsch's house. He's really angry. They're back at the hotel bar. A couple things are happening. Like, I'm noting a couple things along the way, but really the only thing that we find out from a lot of these scenes is that Beverly Luff Lin is believed to be dead.
We find that out in a little bit. One crucial thing that does happen now, and it ties into something that happens later, is Shane sends Tyrone.
Oh, that's right.
To the hotel to kind of infiltrate.
Yeah, he goes to spy on everyone.
He goes to spy on everyone. And he ends up in the bar, so he asked the concierge where he can get a drink, and he says the captain's bar.
I like that he says, "Is the captain
there?" And he says, "Fuck no."
Yeah, the concierge that was just immediately triggering the concierge.
But who is there? I didn't catch her name. It was like Helga. It was some kind of like,
it's the bartender. I do not know.
There's like a female bartender there who's dressed like a future sailor, and like there's just a very brief exchange between Tyrone and this bartender.
He orders a beer.
He drinks the beer in one gulp, and then we cut to a
hotel scene of those two.
Right. He is just pounding this girl from behind while screaming, "Tyrone loves cold beer."
Yeah, it was super, super weird.
It was, but I don't want to paint too graphic of a picture, but kind of in carrying on with the theme of this director with gross things, like it was graphic in a not pleasant way.
And then quick cut back to Bob's, where Adjay just walks in and looks right at Shane. "You look fat today."
Yeah.
I told you, he's making good on his promises all throughout this film. It is your problem. You stole money from me. You need to get it back. I will make your life a living hell every day until you do this. And this really is agitating the hell out of Emile Hirsch's character.
That's true. And Adjay, as he's saying this, he's wearing like a chunky cable knit sweater that is tucked into like Daisy Duke shorts for some reason. And he sees this poster for Beverly Luff Lin, One Magical Night Only.
And that's where he knows this guy's dead.
And he recognizes him and he says, "That man is dead." And then they have a conversation about like, well, Okay.
Now, yeah, I mean, so there's an illusion. This guy's dead. There's some mystery. Now, quick cut. We're back in Aubrey Plaza's room, and Colin, Jermaine, is furious. He's really angry because she's kind of leading him on. He's really frustrated about this. He doesn't know really why he's there. And he immediately, this is how he initiates the fight. And I know why Mike's laughing. He goes, I'm going to go feast on some snacks. And like he's 4 years old.
And he just
like,
storms out.
Yeah, he definitely storms out. I often like to go feast on snacks. This episode of Rabbit Troop Sucks has been brought to you by Snacks.
Snacks, yeah. Presently, we're not feasting on snacks. I have my own liquid snack. But later on, feasting on snacks.
Mike, you're actually drinking Breckenridge bourbon. If
That's true.
You ever want to sponsor us Breckenridge bourbon, that's often our drink of choice. So take that.
That's true. Yeah, local.
That is very true.
We're from Colorado, and we drink local bourbon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rabbit Troop loves local bourbon.
So, yeah, I mean, I have some sporadic notes at this point in time. You know, Beverly Luff Lin is sneaking out, and he gives a letter to Lawrence to give to Lulu, I believe.
Yeah, he gives a letter to the concierge to give to Lulu.
And then, yeah, I have that Colin continues to fight with Lulu. Oh, yeah, he comes back. That's right. It's kind of weird. Like, he just comes back and immediately just starts fighting with her. I guess he did not feast on enough snacks.
He did not.
And then we were with Emile Hirsch back with him, and he has now gone through a lot of Aubrey Plaza's belongings, and he finds an array of photos, and he's like, oh my God, who's this guy? And all the photos are Aubrey Plaza and Craig Robinson together. So Lulu and Beverly Luff Lin. So I was like, wait, who is this guy? You know, clearly if he's dead or not, you know, there's something going on.
Are you queuing me up for something?
I think so.
Okay. I'm trying to figure out where we are in this movie because Paul's right. There's a lot of weird quick cuts.
I have them back at a dinner. Oh yeah, don't they? Like she asked, like, oh no, wait, she asked them like, oh, we should go out to dinner. Okay.
Where I'm at is so after kind of what you mentioned with Shane, this is great radio for you guys. He goes and ambushes Lulu in the hotel lobby, and she screams and like a security guard like pulls him off her and just kicks him in the dick right outside. I then have a note that I can't read. I think it says candy doo-doo.
Yeah, so
something.
This is we're at dinner. So Aubrey Plaza, that's what I was noting. You know, she's like. I do think she genuinely tries to make it up to him. Their relationship is a weird, very quick up and down in this. So she says, you know, how about we have a night on the town? Let's go out to dinner. And he's like, you know what? That sounds great. And he's playing with his ear, something that was noted before. She's like, oh, you put your earring back in because someone made fun of him before. Cool. And he's like, and she goes, the mystery of Colin is deepening. And he immediately, what Mike was noting, goes into the story on how his grandmother potty trained him.
That's right. Okay, that's where the candy doo-doo came from.
And now he's trying to tell this weird story. And he's like, my grandmother always used to have these wonderful candies. They were dusted with these gourmet sugars. Now let me get to the main part of the story. And like it had nothing to do with anything. And he highlights that these candies that he loved, I guess it has something to do, but it was such a weird opening. He's like, basically my grandmother knew I loved these candies. So every time I properly pooped on the toilet, she'd give me one. And then it was kind of weird. He's like, once I got 14. And I thought, did he poop 14 times? And he is very long-winded, and it's supposed to be because Aubrey Plaza, I almost feel this was improv because the looks on her face are, interesting. You could stop any time. This is a terrible story. You're very terrible at telling stories. You've established that when telling me your namesake. This is terrible.
If you told me that 90% of this movie was improvised by the actors, I would believe you 100%.
Sure. I think Matt Berry definitely improvises throughout this film.
Yeah, I don't think anyone had scripts. So Jermaine's story about getting candy in exchange for doo-doo nuggets culminated in explaining how his grandmother died because she got hit in the back of the head with a hammer at one point.
And that Aubrey Plaza just immediately looks so baffled about how that transitioned from one part to another. It's a super bizarre story, and we basically told it, and hopefully you react just like Aubrey Plaza did.
My next note says Horse Fun Magazine and Turkish Swirl Cigarettes. Can you help me with that?
Yeah, so they're having a really great time. And, there is kind of a weird, subtle spark between the two of them. So they do get back to the hotel room. I think Aubrey Plaza just thinks, I had a pleasant night. They have these 2 twin beds in the room. She's clearly getting ready. And he thinks this might turn into a sexual encounter. And he unbuttons his shirt. He takes off his pants and he's in boxers or underwear or something. And he immediately pulls out a magazine, and I believe that, the magazine was called Horse Fun.
Horse Fun, yeah. And the back page had an ad for Turkish Swirl Cigarettes. Another quick cut that I kind of forgot about. We cut to Shane Danger and Tyrone, who are at Tyrone's mother's house for some reason. I think they had to pick her up at some point.
Yeah, I think he says, I got to pick my mom up from the clinic.
Right. So they're having dinner with his mother, and they're kind of just like talking through what happened. And his mother, who is a man, straight up, like we can agree on that, right?
Yep.
Has a comically long coughing fit. And this plays into the director's penchant for gross things. Like he's coughing up food. Like it's really disgusting. And it's like a Family Guy moment where it goes like it starts off being gross and then it kind of gets funny. And then it goes on long enough that it's gross again, but then it's kind of funny, at least to me. And it went on for, maybe 90 seconds, but in a movie, that's forever.
Also, going back to that improv, there is a couple cuts to Emile Hirsch's facial expressions,
yes.
and he does seem almost weirded out.
He's
like,
startled
wow,
by this.
This is still going. Maybe this is a problem.
Right. So okay. So now we're back at the hotel.
Yep.
And Lulu is writing a letter to Beverly Luff Lin. So because the first, I think we kind of, I don't know if it happened yet or if we skipped over. So he wrote a letter to Lulu, and we didn't know what it said, but the theme was like, meet me by the pool.
Yeah, and she reads it inside the bathroom. You're right on track.
Okay.
She reads it inside the bathroom secretively, and then when they both go to sleep, Colin and her separately, she sneaks out and goes to the pool. But when she gets to the pool, Matt Berry shows up in clown makeup,
Yes.
swimming in the pool, and he just goes, the show is over. And again, in clown makeup, not full clown makeup, just really like accents on the eyes, maybe a little lipstick. It was kind of alarming.
It was weird, yeah.
Looked like a horror film.
But yeah, so the letter, she was there because Bev wrote her a letter saying meet me by the pool. But Matt put he put pills in Beverly's tea, so he fell asleep and he went to the pool to tell her to fuck off.
And I can't remember, at some point in time he did intercept this, so he knew what the plan was.
Yeah, he was privy to it. So now she writes a letter back to him, and she delivers it to the concierge. And now we have Maria Bamford shows up, and she just kind of you see her from a distance, and she calls Lulu a skinny little pig, and then just kind of like storms off. And we only see her a couple times. Her character is very weird in this movie.
Yeah, she was. I had to look up. We go to IMDb often. What are the characters' names? This character does not have a name. It is referenced as Beverly Luff Lin's ex-wife, and that's why she's really angry at Aubrey Plaza. And we do get a backstory.
We find out what happened later.
And on IMDb, the character is just listed as the Elegant Woman.
Elegant Woman, okay.
And then we're back at Bob's, and Adjay brings in a tough. So quick cut. And this guy in black leather shorts and boots and black socks hiked up, and like a little leather cap and little leather vest comes in.
Yeah, he looks like a leather daddy. And he says, do you have a back room?
And Emile Hirsch agrees to show him where it is.
He's like, yeah, I have a back room. He's like, would you show me to that back room right now? He's like, okay. And they go to the back room, and then you can hear the sounds of him getting his ass kicked.
Yeah, just one fell swoop, pa! And then he walks out, and then Emile Hirsch has clearly a bloodied or broken nose.
Right. And so now this is where we get a little backstory into Maria Bamford, because Matt Berry goes to her room, the classy woman's room. And my notes here are kind of spotty, but she's like, I don't care, where you met this guy. I don't know if you care. I don't know if you met him while stuttering embroidery in Aberdeen. But like, I'm his ex-wife, and that little tramp stole him from me. So she's kind of indicating like, yes, she is Beverly's ex-wife, and that Lulu was the one who broke up their marriage.
Yeah, we don't know much more about that.
And we will never know more about that because it is not really talked about again.
Sort of. No, Aubrey Plaza has a talk with Colin. Aubrey Plaza highlights how she met Beverly Luff Lin.
That's true, but him having a wife was never mentioned in her story.
Oh yeah, that's I think that's pretty true. Oh yeah, as far as that story goes, yes. But how Aubrey Plaza broke up that marriage, I mean, you could piece it together.
Yeah, sure. She's better looking than Maria Bamford.
Beverly Luff Lin wakes up and then does open these curtains, sees the elegant woman, grunts. Mm-hmm. We're back at Bob's. Oh no, I already noted that Adjay brings the tough.
So I think.
Oh no. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm back. We're
back.
Okay. So Colin is feeling totally dejected all across the board, and he is at the bar. There was a moment where Aubrey Plaza is there, and she just leaves, and now we're introduced to Paulette. Paulette is hitting on Colin at the bar, and we see a little bit of that, and she's like flirting with him. We're back at the pool. Aubrey Plaza and Beverly Luff Lin do show up, but Matt Berry mysteriously also shows up and takes him away. And then we're back at the bar, and there's a lot of banter between Colin and Paulette all throughout this.
So Colin he's telling Paulette the same story that he told Aubrey Plaza earlier.
The namesake story.
And she's deep into it. And now she says, hey, is there a place we can go to be alone? So we cut to, I think it's like the hotel's laundry room, and they are just going to Pound Town.
Yep. And then she basically and quickly says, and now you owe me
$50. Yeah.
So we're back at the hotel room immediately, and Jermaine is highlighting this to Aubrey Plaza. I did just sleep with this woman. She is a sex worker. She normally charges $80, but she only charged me $50. So I think this is win-win for everybody. Aubrey Plaza does not give a damn about any of this because clearly she's not interested and definitely wants to meet up with Beverly Luff Lin.
Right, but and this is where we start to get the backstory, because this is where Aubrey is telling Jermaine about how she met this person.
Yeah, so this is actually more of a serious moment. There are a couple of them, and she highlights, this backstory. Oh, and wait, there's a quote that I do want to note that someone says, maybe we should get Adjay involved. Maybe he could help in all this. And Aubrey Plaza says he's not interested in anything unless it's vegan.
Yeah, I didn't have that quote, but I do remember this.
Yeah, but do you have the backstory of what she said?
Yeah, so she says he was a poet.
That's right.
He was my professor. I was in love. He took me to this island. We went swimming. Like, he dove in beyond where I was. He just kept swimming, and then he went underwater, and I couldn't find him.
He waved to me, and I waved back.
Right.
And he dove under. When I went to go get him, he was gone.
And she went back to the hotel, and she told people, and they said, "Oh no, he drowned." And she mentioned that only Adjay was the one who knew this. He was the only one that she told about this.
Yeah, he's like, "Why didn't you tell me?" She's like, "I've never told anyone except for Adjay." Oh, why doesn't he help? And but he's not interested in anything unless it's vegan.
Unless it's vegan, right? Exactly.
So basically, we are now gearing up that we are getting to this night. We hadn't said, but there was a couple delays. That one night it was delayed. Beverly Luff Lin wasn't feeling well. There's another delay, and then the manager's highlights, "I will give you one more delay, but that's it." And he's this weird kind of emotionless mannequin phantasm-y kind of fella.
Right. He's like impossibly tan, but he has hair that's white as a ghost.
And when he opens his eyes, it's like a ventriloquist doll opens its eyes. It's like, "Open, I am now alive, and I am speaking to you." So that's kind of just the ambiance of what's going on.
Yeah, that's something we hadn't mentioned. The people that are at this hotel to see this one magical night have been there for like 4 days now because it keeps getting postponed. But manager puts down the law. He says, this is it. We got to do it. So we're gearing up for that one magical night. It's the day of now, and Shane, Tyrone, and the other guy they're in their car outside. They're kind of scheming. They got something. They're cooking something up. We're introduced to a new character, which is the events coordinator. I don't remember his name, but I liked him quite a bit.
Yeah, I was like,
he was a weirdo. I have nothing more to add to that. it's just everyone go watch this movie. You'll know what we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, basically, we're just leading up to what this magical night is. I mean, there's some conversations and a little bit of exposition going forward, but I mean, really, we just basically get to the magical evening, and all of this is starting.
Yeah,
and
it's all starting. So Tyrone gets out of the car. He sneaks into the side entrance with the help from the bartender, whom he did plowing with earlier, and he gets into to Lulu's room and gets the cash box. So
they steal the cash and they're out.
So he steals the cash box and he pieces out. And Shane and the other guy go to the show. Shane has like a cake box with him.
Yeah,
which we will find out later does actually have a cake in it.
I mean, spoiler, it's Lulu's birthday.
Lulu's birthday, yeah. She mutters to herself at one point in the mirror, "Happy birthday, Lulu." And it's kind of like a sad passing moment because no one has acknowledged that it's her birthday yet.
And when this evening starts, and the event coordinator highlighted this, how people are going to enter and walk through and what side of the stage they're going to go on. This is a room with maybe at most 100 people.
Yeah,
and
it's not a big event center.
So Matt Berry comes in and he goes to the left of what we see.
Well, and he's wearing I don't think we've mentioned what they're wearing. At all points in time, Matt Berry and Beverly Luff Lin are wearing like full Scottish Highlands garb.
Yeah, I said when we get to, we'll tell it. So Matt Berry comes in and he's wearing that. He sits down. Then 12 children come in.
Children are showing up.
And then Beverly Luff Lin comes in, and it's exactly what, Mike said, some kind of Scottish garments.
Yeah, he looks like the last king of Scotland. He's got like a scepter he's walking up with.
Yeah, so I wrote, imagine everything Mike just said mixed with maybe part of the Queen of Hearts army in Alice in Wonderland.
That's
like
accurate, yeah.
Weird scepters and hats. Like it's like royalty, but not so much. It's very confusing on what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed this on the kick drum. So Matt Berry has like a keyboard and a kick drum. The kick drum like logo, like a band would have, is a creepy dude. Did you see this at all? No. So there's your Easter egg to look out for. Look for the kick drum, because it's like a guy in like a Scottish golf beret with like a creepy grin. I don't know. So the kids like start dispersing. Matt Berry is now playing a lute. And there's like a keyboard thing going. And Beverly Luff Lin, this is the first time we hear him say anything other than, he starts singing like a Scottish folk song.
Yeah, it's really disarming, the voice that comes out of Craig Robinson. Because it's supposed to be kind of Scottish, but not. And it just almost sounds just firm. Like I wrote down some weird lyrics. It's like, tick-tock, tickety-tock. Like something like that, and that's how he's singing, and like a mechanical doll. It's like beat drum, while Matt Berry's playing a lute.
Yeah, he's playing the lute, and so the first song is weird, and it's that tick tock tickety tock song, and then they kind of have a little bit of banter, and Beverly Luff Lin goes into this whole thing about like the song is about sometimes you need to be alone, you need to go for a swim, and he jumps into this song called, I don't know what it's called, but the main chorus is, "Why did I ever become a football referee?"
I wrote that aside. Football referee ?
Right, and the whole song is like, "I could have been a scientist or whatever and stuff. Why did I ever become a football referee?" And this is like this is
a magical night.
Yeah, the whole movie has been like, you don't know what it's being built up as. Like at some point, is Beverly Luff Lin dead? Is he a zombie? Like why is he groaning? What kind of music is he going to play? Like we don't even know that he's going to play music. It's not referenced that a magical night is a musical night, just that it's magical.
Yeah.
And now he's singing like weird Scottish Highland folk songs about becoming a football referee.
Yeah, it's really weird. I mean, if you gave me 12 guesses, if you gave me 1,000 guesses, I would have never thought this would have been the magical evening. The costumes, I don't know where the children went at this point in time. Where are the children?
No one. Those children are unattended.
And so during all of this, Craig Robinson, Beverly Luff Lin, then breaks into this song about how he misses people, and he really just dedicates everything to to Aubrey Plaza's character.
Right, he sees her in the audience, and now he's explaining things. He's kind of like laying down the law,
And now this erupts that he tells Matt Berry, he says, listen, you're my best friend or you're a great friend, but I'm not in love with you.
Right. I love you, but I'm not in love with you.
Yeah, he's like, I gave my love to someone else, and he's alluding to Aubrey Plaza.
Right.
And then a fight ensues.
Well,
Everyone's
wait, then he says, happy birthday, Lulu.
Oh, yeah, he does. Then a fight ensues.
So yeah, the fight ensues because Shane, who has been in the back of this room the whole time with a fucking cake box, he storms up and he's like, "That's my wife. I don't know you." And he produces a cake, and the cake like looks like a frowny cat. I think. Yeah. Yeah. It was like, it's my wife's birthday. Like blah blah blah, and then the fight ensues. Like everyone, it's like a barroom fight from any movie where everyone's just punching each other for no reason, and yeah, everyone's just getting knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, Beverly Luff Lin is able to escape, or just kind of walks off, and then Aubrey Plaza tracks him down and was like, "Hey, man, like, there's letters. I'm supposed to meet you. You're ditching me." And he's like, here's the situation. I left. This dude was in on it. He helped me restart my life, and then I eventually met Matt Berry as character, and I just started things over. And I just don't know. And then she says, what about what you said today? Well, I say a lot of things while I'm on stage. I don't know what I mean. This is actually a really confusing conversation because
it is.
I don't know what I'm telling you. I don't know what I say. I get anxious. That's why I can't talk. That's why he's lost his voice for all these days.
That's why for the first hour and a half of this movie, all he's been doing is going, because he has indigestion from the anxiety from performing.
Yeah, so he doesn't talk for days because he can't do that before a performance. And now he doesn't know if what he's telling her is real. Colin walks in, and this is a weird turning point because we're really close to the end of the film, and Colin basically says, you'd just be lucky to even have her affection, and he's clearly jealous over all this, but he does change his character a bit, and right then and there, Aubrey Plaza kind of gives him the nod of, maybe I underestimated you, maybe you're someone I would like to get to know.
Yeah, he's standing up for himself a little bit. And then, so the scene kind of ends there, and Aubrey and Jermaine kind of reconcile at the bar. They're back at the bar. He's drinking a rum and a ramble. She rolls up and she orders 2 Rumble in the Hedges or whatever it's called.
In the Heather?
Rumble in the Heather. And he orders 2 more rum and a ramble. And they're kind of talking through things like, it's real talk time. And then we have in the background, did you catch the DJ's name?
I did not.
It's DJ Valerie Grills, who is who is an insanely old man wearing like a giant neon jacket for some reason. And he cues up this like dope ass song. I don't remember what it was. Honestly, I don't even know if it's a real song or if it was made for this movie, but I thought it kind of slapped. And the two of them, they kind of start dancing. And dancing is a phrase I'll use lightly here.
Aubrey Plaza is one step away from being Julia Louis-Dreyfus on Seinfeld.
Yeah,
she is
that's accurate.
Moving maybe rhythmically, and it's clearly comedic. It's not that, maybe Aubrey Plaza can't dance. It's so weird. It's so fitting for this movie. And she starts dancing oddly. And then he joins in. He starts dancing oddly. And then, they go back to the room and... at the end of the song cuts. Aubrey Plaza jumps in his arms. They kiss. They go back to the room. You think there might be some kind of sexual situation.
Right.
There's not. Actually, I really like the end. And she falls asleep and she half wakes up and says, "I love you."
She also says, "Every girl needs a Colin."
Which
I thought was sweet.
Yeah.
And then there's she says, "I love you."
And then like half asleep, and he's like, "Really?" And she says, "Yeah." And he says, "I love you too." They both smile and it ends. And then you think it's over, but you get one last scene, and it's Matt Berry back at a convenience store buying nibbles, which I think was
nibbles. I think it was like a microwave burrito or something.
Yeah, and then he gives it to Craig Robinson, but he thinks Craig Robinson is now just dead. He tries to wake Craig Robinson up. He's like, "Help, help." He rolls out the window.
It's like, we've got a death.
This is a death scene.
We've got a death scene.
This is a death scene. And you think he's dead, and he's not. He was just asleep. He grumbles.
He wakes up. And he wakes up and eats his nibbles.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, Shane is never mentioned again. Nope. Like no other characters are ever mentioned. And I'm fine with that. It ended as well as it needed to for me.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this film. I am going to tell you all pretty directly, I think this would be a super polarizing film, but this is one I absolutely enjoy.
Yeah, if if you like Napoleon Dynamite, I can't imagine you not liking this movie.
I think if you also like almost any member of the cast, maybe a couple of them.
That's true, yeah.
I mean, I and a couple of my notes, I just kept writing, Matt Berry, his voice is just so pleasant to listen to. Just listen to Matt Berry. He could just tell you any kind of stories, buy his jazz albums, watch any of, his many TV shows. Yes, I hear you, Clem Fandango.
Have you heard any of his music, like his
I have. I've listened to some of his jazz. What I listened to had no vocals or anything. It was a couple songs.
Is that the album with him holding like a pheasant on the cover?
That might be.
Okay, yeah.
I think I listened to a couple of tracks a long time ago, and they were instrumentals, and I really didn't know all the things that he was doing in it. I just know he was associated with it, which I thought was kind of awesome.
Yeah, but no, you're right. I mean, anything that Matt Berry touches for me is usually pretty good. Like his presence is enough for me to enjoy something, even if it's bad. But this movie isn't bad. I mean, I know we've kind of been back and forth on how we're describing this. Like when
it's kind of an experience. As I said, the gross parts are gross, but it doesn't make me not want to watch it. It just makes me think like this is kind of gross and dingy and weird.
I like this movie a lot. If I'm give me a letter rating. What's your letter rating for this movie? Because I know what mine is, and I'm going to tell you.
I would put this movie probably for me anywhere from a B to a B plus.
Okay, this movie is a solid A. You recommend that we watch this. I don't think you had seen it when you and I watched it, but you were aware of it.
I watched part of it and then I stopped watching
That's right. Okay. I love this movie. I went home and I made my girlfriend watch it. We actually bought a copy of this for my girlfriend's sister and brother-in-law for her sister's birthday. Cause
did they like it?
They loved it. Yeah.
Awesome.
This is a movie that I feel like I'm an evangelicist for this movie. I love this movie. I think it's super fun. I think it's super well done. I think all the characters are charming. I have no criticism for this movie.
I also want to know, like, giving it something like a B to a B plus, I do not think that is a low score by any means. I mean, I definitely see Mike's point of view. Just there's a couple loose ends that I wish were tied up. There's a little tightening of this movie back and forth. I think that it could have been used. I actually would have loved to seen any kind of blooper reels. We watched this on Netflix, and I mean, if it's currently on when anyone listens to this or not, you should totally watch it. But if there are deleted scenes and various other things, I think this movie in ways could have been longer or tightened up. But as I said, some of the gross aspects, I'm like, maybe that's my detraction. But I mean, it's a super fun film. Again, I mean, if you've watched anything from The Office to The IT Crowd to, I mean, I'm trying to think of everything that all these characters have been in. Parks and Rec, as we've clearly noted before. I mean, there's so many fun moments, and these characters and actors are so fun in it. Clearly, I think everyone had a good time. It looked like it.
Yeah. I mean, I like Craig Robinson a lot. My favorite Craig Robinson, as you know, my online gaming persona is named after his side character from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Horatio Velveteen. I think he's fantastic. Aubrey Plaza is one of my favorite contemporary actresses. I think everything that I've seen her in, I've adored. And Matt Berry is just a force. If you haven't seen,
I would legitimately see anything Matt Berry is in. I mean, I would just directly say that. I think he's such a fantastic and diverse actor.
Yeah, if you haven't seen Toast of London, that should be top of your list.
Yes.
This movie's great. Everyone should 100% watch this movie. I know this is kind of a weird podcast because we go scene by scene and there are spoilers, and then at the end we tell you maybe you should watch this. Maybe in the future we should. If we're fully endorsing a movie at the beginning of the podcast, we should have a disclaimer this movie's dope. Pause this, watch it, and then come back to it.
I think it's just implied. Just look at the title and be like, this movie's probably dope.
Honestly, okay, yeah. New policy. When you see on your podcast feed, when you see the title of the podcast, just go out and watch the movie, then listen. You're going to get a lot more out of it.
Probably. I mean, that's kind of what I do with other podcasts I listen to. I'm like, if they note some music, I want to go and listen to it before they explore it. Same thing with television shows, movies, etc. But as always, you could contact us at rabbittroopsuckspodcast@gmail.com. You could go directly to our website at rabbittroopsucks.com. Let us know if you have any suggestions for movies or anything interesting that you want to share with us. Our next movie is a movie I have seen and Mike has not. So I like that this is more obscure for Mike. And, the focus of this podcast is always on obscure, forgotten, weird films, things that may have fallen through the cracks or just forgotten or not explored for a while. And I remember this movie, and Mike and I are going to explore 1992's Free Jack, starring Emilio Estevez and Mick Jagger.
Yeah, this movie came to be this movie came to be as a subject of our podcast kind of oddly. I was actually leaving my house to record our previous episode, and my girlfriend loaded this movie up, and she said, because I'm her go-to for any of these weird movies, she's like, "Have you ever seen this?" Like, I don't think I've ever even heard of this. And I started texting Paul as I was on my way. He's like, "Oh, I've seen this. We are 100% going to do this." So I'm excited. So I've seen the first 12 minutes of this movie, which seem fucking bonkers. So I'm excited to actually watch it and try to absorb it and get into it a little bit.
Rene Russo and Anthony Hopkins, in addition, would not steer you wrong.
Anthony Hopkins is in this movie? Oh my God.
Well, until next time, as always, recording in Denver, Colorado.
Yeah.
I just want to let you know, Rabbit Troop sucks.
Rabbit Troop sucks. Oh, do you hear?
And we're hearing fireworks.
Yeah.
Rabbit Troop sucks.
It's not the 4th of July, but it's close.
It could be.
It could
in
be.
your heart. Rabbit Troop sucks.